Hey guys, I got a lot of great feedback from my last video and I haven't filmed in quite some time, so I thought I would jump on here on our Thanksgiving break. Today is the day after Thanksgiving. I did go out at a really random time to do some Black Friday shopping at like 11 today, but at that point, like, the sales, like the really good sales were over, or like I just wasn't feeling the shopping. It wasn't fun because I was alone. So I gave up on that, but I did go to Dollar Tree and I finally found the containers that have the 3 separate compartments. So I bought 6 of those for my place value blocks. I'm hoping that I can get my things into the containers how I want them to be, so I can start using more manipulatives and get those things labeled and things like that. So there's different things I have to do in the classroom, and I'm really excited because I'm going to get to go into school on an upcoming weekend because our school's not usually open on the weekends, but since our book fair is coming up, it's gonna be open. So that's exciting. I'm definitely gonna take advantage of that time. So right now, I decided while my boyfriend is out golfing, you know, enjoying this day, I'm in my house that really needs to be cleaned, but I also have a lot of schoolwork to do. So I have some tests here. I have our last 2 math tests. Now let me give you some insight on how we do our major grades, our tests, and what we do with like feedback for the kids and things. So I never actually go over the test in class. Some people find that extremely beneficial, and I agree. If I had all the time in the world, you know, I totally would. But if the kids understand the material, we just, you know, you just got to move on. Because we're so limited on time that there's only so much we could do, and you gotta pick and choose, you know? So when we give a test, we also do test corrections. So I typically like to do my test corrections the next week, but I'm a little behind since I just started my new wave of centers. And if you did not see my last vlog, I will link that down below because I've changed my centers again, you know. But I really like how it's going, and I'm going to keep up with this. And my test scores show that, I mean, it may be the topic, but my test scores show that this is working better for my group of kids at least. So I'm behind on small groups. I did not get to reteach material, so I am behind on my test correction schedule, which is okay because the test that we just took before Thanksgiving break, my kids did absolutely amazing on. It's like some of their best test scores ever, which is awesome. And it was on multiplicative comparison, which is standards OA1 and OA2. I'm not going to have that many corrections with this test, so I can mix it and blend it with my previous test as well. And my previous test was multiplication strategies like area model, distributive property, partial product. So that will be simple to combine those things as I pull my small groups and things. I don't know about you guys, but I had 9 kids out. We had school this Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I had 9 kids out. Now I know of 4 of them, yes, 4, that were sick, and 1 was on vacation or with her family. So that leaves 4. Not sure. I had kids in the classroom complaining of sore throats and headaches, and I'm clearly not feeling my best either. I was missing a lot of kids, and I was really, really sick last weekend. I thought I was coming down with strep throat. However, my sore throat went away the next day after I started like taking just different medicine stuff. So then I thought it was my allergies because I switched from Zyrtec to a generic brand, and that I cannot do that because ever since I switched back to my Zyrtec, I've felt fine. I'm just still a little bit congested, so I'm working on that. I'm going to analyze my tests. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a look at the ones that the kids got wrong, and I have a notebook here. I'm going to keep track of the ones they got wrong because I know for a fact that a lot of them missed several of the same problems. So I'm going to look at that, and then I'm also going to kind of group the kids based on what skill that they're struggling with. That way I can teach them together, and I can have all that laid out so I know what small groups I will need to make for the week. So that is that. So I'm gonna dive into that. All right, so I've gone through my first test on MBT5, which was the multiplication strategies for both my classes, and I'm going to let you know the different things that I wrote down and broke it into. Sorry if my camera's shaking. I'm trying to hold it steady. So some of the main things that I focused on was who does not show their work, and then I put a star next to the kids who did not show their work, and that's probably the main reason that they got certain questions wrong. And then I also made a column for guessing. I have a lot of kids who do their work, but then they don't get an answer that matches one of the multiple choice, so they just pick one instead of checking where their mistake was. I also made a list of all of the kids who bubbled wrong. I have the program Mastery Connect, my school has it, which I've showed on a vlog before, and it's just a data collection system analyzer that you can print out bubble sheets and hold it up to your camera, and it will scan through to the computer. I have a lot, so we do bubble sheets, with that being said, and I had several kids who bubbled wrong. So I just want to have these kids like on my radar, so when we do take future tests, I can really make sure that they are taking the time to go back and check, and I can point it out to them that I'm not marking this as correct from here on out, because we are a good of the ways into the school year, and benchmarks and EOGs don't give you points back if you bubbled correctly in the test and not on the answer sheet. And then the last thing I did was made different groups. So I have area model to distributive to partial product. So that's basically all of the kids who really just don't understand the different forms either at all, or they don't understand one of them, or they're having trouble just solving multiplication with those strategies. That's what that is. I have another group for understanding word problems. These were kids who know the steps of the process of the strategies, but they don't know which numbers to choose or how to break it down and how to solve it from the words. I have another group who answered this really dumb question that they should not have gotten wrong. It was like box times 10 equals what? And they had to pick the two numbers that go into the missing boxes, and they didn't get it right. And I'm like, that's like one of the most simple questions ever. So a multiplying by 10 group, and I have a lining up addition place value group for just 2 kids, which isn't bad. That I think it's the way they show their work is they rush through it because they just want to get it over with. So when they were adding all their numbers up, they didn't line them up in place value, and that's why they got their answer wrong. And then my last group is line method and lattice method. And that's for my students who really just don't know their multiplication facts. I did not teach this to my whole class because I did not want to fill their heads with so many different strategies at first, because distributive property is one they're going to see a lot on state testing. And so I wanted to get them familiar with it. And now I'm going to go back, and the kids who like really struggle with their math facts or understand the process but just can't get it because they don't know what 9 times 6 is. Obviously, I'm going to work with them on their math facts, but I'm also going to teach them another way to just check their work. They're my kids who do work hard but just need another strategy. So those are the kids I'm going to teach that to. And then on the top of this whole page, I wrote 4 different problems that most of my kids struggled with, so I'm going to go over them as a whole class just to nip that in the butt right away. But most of them were multi-step problems. So if you have any good lessons for multi-step problems, let me know. I do a Frere model, which I believe is on my Teachers Pay Teachers store, because I don't like cubes. I really don't like cubes. It's just another thing for kids to have to remember. What do I circle? What do I underline? What do I box? I don't care if you underline everything. I don't care if you circle your keywords and your numbers. Like, just be able to have the skill to pull them out. So I teach my kids to just like underline important things and circle important things. I don't care. Sometimes I circle keywords, sometimes I circle numbers, sometimes I underline them. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as you can identify them and pull them out, that's what I want you to be able to do. I don't want to teach them another thing that they have to remember, because then they'll be so focused on remembering cubes that they aren't going to pay attention to what the word problem is actually saying. And especially with multiplicative comparison, I think it was really helpful because I could see that my kids are just solving problems and they're not understanding what they're actually solving for. So we had a lot of conversations about, well, what does this number mean? And what does your answer actually have to mean? So it's just the fact of digging deeper and making them actually think while they're working. All right, so now I have a couple things here that I use to help plan my lessons. And I mix all of them together to make it my own. So I have the Houghton Mifflin Math textbook, which is from a very, very long time ago, before Common Core. However, the way it introduces some material and connects it to others is different than, like, say, the newer books. So I always like to check back in this one. It also maps out everything really nice, and the teacher I planned math with told me this is how she learned how to teach math, and we still use a lot of these practice pages for homework. So there was not one in my classroom, so I did purchase this one on Amazon, but it was only like $15. That's what this is. Then I have some resources from that teacher herself. We're moving into prime and composite, factors, multiples, and then division. So these are different pages that we may be using in the classroom. So we pull these to get some ideas. This is the book that we are currently using. It is the Ready Common Core book. They come with workbooks. We used to get workbooks for all of the kids. However, this year we did not, but I really like this one as well. This one lays everything out for you. And this one is Common Core, so it teaches in a lot more like modeled, hands-on approach. So that is neat. And then before this one, before my time, was the Encore book. And I don't have any of these either, but we do use some of these practice pages as well. And I love these practice pages because it has the whole example at the top. So I use these a lot for homework, because with Common Core, parents need some help. So I pull from all of these to help me plan out my total lesson. Good morning, guys. It's Saturday and I'm in my classroom because the school is open for book fair right now. So I'm just trying to do things that I can't normally do on a daily basis, like clean up the things I've been dying to clean up. So right now, this table was filled with our rocks and minerals and our rock cycle around the room in these baskets. So I put the rocks and minerals away, and now I'm just saving all these materials for my next class and finding a spot to put these baskets. Then I'm gonna clean off my table and just probably straighten the desks, find something else to do, like stack those neatly, and definitely manage back there. So I went around to every drawer, and I organized all my desks again, and I took the place value discs out. Since we're pretty much done with that, I'm gonna store those away so the kids aren't playing with them. And I'm going through my vocab bag right now. I was planning on sorting this into my binders. I never got the chance to, but I'm pulling out all the words and questions and definitions that I will need either now or soon, so I could put the vocabulary up, because I did not put the vocabulary up for a previous unit, and one of my students was like, well, I don't know it because it's not on the wall. So they definitely use that, which is awesome. So I gotta get it up there. So clearly I'm home. I did not vlog much at school at all. I'm pretty sure I only vlogged twice. I didn't have much time. I basically had 2 hours. So I was just trying to get done as much as I could. Basically just cleaning and organizing and updating things that I struggle updating on a daily basis. So I stopped and got Panera because it's 11 o'clock, so I didn't eat any breakfast. So I'm gonna have some brunch, I guess. And I brought home this stack of stuff. I have to do a couple of things for next week. First of all, my kids took a quiz this Friday on multiples, factors, prime, and composite numbers. And my one class, which is my homeroom, who I felt got all the better lessons this week, we're gonna have to take a new quiz. Some kids got A's, some got B's, but most were 70 and far below. And I do not want to send those grades home. I don't want to put those grades on report cards, because that's not fair to the kids. If that many of them did not understand the concept, that means that I need to teach it a different way. And I don't want to punish them because they didn't understand the way I taught it the first time. So we're gonna try again. Then later this week, I will give them a similar quiz with the same types of questions, just with different numbers. So we'll see how that goes. But the problem is I have to do that during my intervention time. We have a block of time called rhyme time, and it's remediation, intervention, whatever the M is, and enrichment. I don't know what the M is. I knew it before, but I don't know it at the moment. But anyway, so I have 30 minutes of time for each of my blocks. 30 minutes for my first one, 30 minutes for my second one. To use that time to remediate on previous topics before test corrections, or intervene on students who are below grade level, and just different things like that. So it's basically my reteaching time. So for my homeroom class, I will have to reteach the entire class, multiples, factors, prime, and composite. And then for my second class, I will only have to reteach it to a small group of kids, which is good because basically all my AIG kids get it, and they leave me Monday and Tuesday for basically the entire class. So, and my IME time. So I'm glad that they get it because they would miss I would have to rework my schedule to intervene with them, but they understood it. So I have to make several sets of lesson plans for next week. We're also starting division. So I don't think division is going to be that much of a challenge because we've been doing division with multiplicative comparison and with multiples and factors. We've been talking about division. We've done number talks. We're doing divisibility rules right now. So it won't be that hard at first. I just have to make sure that they really understand the basics of it before I start like long division, even though we don't teach long division, just with those larger numbers and the strategies that we use. So before I do any planning, I need to grade everything from last week. I have a ton to grade. I haven't been grading classwork because with math, we literally teach a new concept every single day. But my mentor keeps getting on to me about how, as a parent, she would want to see that her child was struggling and proof of that before they bombed the test or something like that. But the problem is, when I was teaching this week, I used exit tickets for, I did some independent practice that I collected, but I also used exit tickets that I'm going to grade, and the kids understood the concepts on the exit tickets. So I really don't understand what happened, and it's frustrating because they understood it, but then when they see it worded slightly differently, they didn't. So I think the problem was when it was separated, like factors, prime and composite, with multiples separate, they could do it. But once they saw it all together, they didn't fully understand the vocabulary, so that's where they struggled. So yes, I'm gonna grade that stuff right now and eat my Panera. So I've gotten everything graded. I really hate grading classwork because their grades are so low. 40s, 60s, 70s, 50s, like everybody. Am I supposed to give that as a grade? This is why I don't grade classwork. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys do, because my mentor wants me to grade classwork, which I completely understand. And if I'm grading things every day, then they'll have a lot more grades, but that just seems like a trap to bring their grade down. So let me know what you guys think. Hey guys, back in my same spot. It's been a couple hours. I'm finally done with all of my grading. I have a lot of kids who are missing assignments though, and I keep forgetting to remind them, especially with 2 classes. It's easier with my homeroom, but then when my second class comes in, it's I don't have that morning time where I could say, hey, you owe me this. So I think I'm going to make a list of what each kid is missing on a piece of paper for them so I can hand it to them. And if it's something that I think they may no longer have, I will hand them a new copy with it. That way there's no excuse. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff missing. It's there's no time to complete this. These kids had 2 weeks to make vocabulary posters, and I have so many in my one class who have not turned it in. I'm pretty positive a lot of them did not even start. What were you working on? I think I've said this before and I needed to say it again. I was not taught to use resources. I was kind of taught to create my own things, but I really need to start using my resources. Textbook wise. I feel like I was taught to go to the internet for everything, where I have these amazing textbooks right in front of me. So this is the workbook portion for the kids. It's the Ready Common Core. This breaks it down so amazing. I love the questions that this book asks because it really breaks down the problem and makes you think about the math. So I definitely need to tell myself to use it more. I have the teacher manual that goes along with it. It's just bigger. So in this book, if I go through here, this like paces it out day by day. It guides you through the lesson, and then here's the pages from this book, you know, just like every other teacher manual. I really need to use this and to pull the questions from this, since I'm not extremely familiar with the language yet. With my new centers, I've been trying to add a new game and a new set of vocabulary words every single week. So the games I like to add are covering the topic we learned the week before. So this one is called Factor Frenzy. It's from the same bundle where I've gotten all of my centers from Blair Turner, and it goes through picking factors as well as deciding if it's a composite or prime number. So this is a simple print it on cardstock, laminate it, and I have the kids use paper clips as spinners, and then the Target Dollar Spot erasers as pieces. And there's a new game. It's that simple. I put it in the zipper pocket from Dollar Tree. If you missed that vlog, I'll link it down below. Those have been working all right because the kids tend to not be very gentle with them. So some of the zipper pieces have been breaking, but it's fine. It does its job, keeps it sorted. So I like to put the directions in the front so they know what game it is, and then the rest of the pieces on the inside. And then for vocabulary, this is vocabulary words from last week as well. So I just have to cut these out. And then what I did is I went ahead and I put the whole vocabulary sheet in a little square. So there's 4 to a page. And that way the kids will have a card that has the matching answers, because they have been coming up to me and asking me if they're correct. So now this will hopefully get rid of that, and then they could really, even if they use this to help them, like at least they know what the definitions are. So that's what I've made. I just have to cut these out into big cards. That way I can have one whole card with the answer sheet with my vocabulary, because I've started storing them in my photo cases from Michaels. And then I just have to cut out all these cards individually. I'll also take a second to show you the pages I made for tomorrow. I made an exit ticket, a practice page, and a homework page, and they're all fairly similar. I have the Houghton Mifflin textbook. This is really old, but the way this paces division is really nice. So I'm starting with this one, and then when it gets into more Common Core like area model, I'm moving to the Common Core book. The first day, the Houghton Mifflin pages have remainders in them, and I don't want, I'm doing modeling division with place value blocks without remainders on the first day. So I just made similar pages. I have a practice page here, and I'm not even going to introduce the vocabulary on the first day. I'm going to use number of equal groups, number in each group, equation, and number. And then later in the week, I would like to get into quotient, dividend, divisor, because this is going to make it very similar to multiplication, since we've already talked about these two with multiplication. So the practice page, well, first I made a PowerPoint here. It's super simple, but I have base 10 blocks, and then I'm going to have the kids move them into 2 equal groups. No, I know I can do this on Smart Notebook, but it's just easier for me to do slideshows on Google Docs from home to school. So 2 different numbers, just modeling that again without remainders. Yes, they're on top of each other. It's fine. It'll do. So that's what I have here. After we do that, I'm going to have them use base 10 blocks themselves and model 2 or 3 problems themselves with a partner. And this practice page is for when we break up into our centers. They have a journal time, and this is going to be part of their journal time. So they have to do this practice page first. So there's the table that they're supposed to be using place value blocks to help them complete, and the top one is already an example for them. And then simply draw a picture to show 30 divided into 5 equal groups, write an equation, and 2 word problems. And it ends with a word problem that talks about leftover. That way it can lead me into remainders tomorrow, but it still kind of makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, there's 23 nails, there's some left over, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I can't divide it. Like what? It's just answering the question. So it's simplifying it for them, which I'm sure that's how all division starts. So from there, I have the exit ticket, and this is very similar to what we do in class, so they should not have any questions. And I'm debating whether to start the practice page, like do the first one together, like fill out maybe 14 divided into 2 groups with 7 in each group will be our first practice with the base 10 blocks and partners, and then we'll do the next one together just so they understand how it works. And then they'll save the rest for journal. I know I'll have several kids who rush through this, but I'll show you what they do in journal once they finish the practice page. So the exit ticket just has a shortened version of that. And then I have explained how dividing tens is like dividing ones. This was a question that was in the Houghton Mifflin book, so it'll give me a good insight into how they are thinking. And then here's a little what's wrong problem. And the book had it as a remainder, and the equation was written without the remainder, but since we're not getting into that yet, I just have 14 divided by 2, but there's 8 here and there's 6 here, so they're going to have to notice that it's not in equal groups. So that will also give me good insight on how they understand if division needs to be in equal groups or not. Then homework is similar to the classwork, but since they don't have base 10 blocks at home, I want them to draw them in. And I was trying to make them myself, but they're not going to be small enough to fit into the groups. So I'm just going to have to draw that part in tomorrow. But they model the number and then they break it into the groups, and that's how they know what number goes here. And then they write the equation. So there's just 3 of those since one's already modeled for them. And then a simple word problem, again with the leftover question. That way it can lead us into our discussion about remainders. So those are the pages that I've created, and I've emailed those to myself. And then I have division tasks. These are from Howard County Public Schools, and what I do is I take the task and I copy and paste it. That way I can make it a little bit smaller so they can cut it out and fit it in their notebook. This is what they put in their journal. So if they finish the practice page, they move on to the tasks. And as each task goes on, it gets harder and harder. But it's basically just a word problem about modeling division. And these are all fairly similar, actually. Just this last one, there's going to be that remainder. So this is like that extra work that doesn't necessarily need to be done, but if they finish journal and they still have time left over, they glue one of these in their journal and get to work through it. And I love these tasks because it makes them model, first of all, and think deeper about the skill. Last week, something I did was have them do the tasks, and the week prior, do the tasks just by themselves, and that was their independent work. And that was not a good idea because they were completely lost. So it's very important that they have a practice page before they go into the deeper thinking aspect. So that's that.